Hello everyone, I hope you're well on this last day of January. And talking about January, just before I watched a video of mine, a short video. I'll put the link in the description so you can watch it, from last January, from January 2022, just over a year ago. And as I say, links in the description. It was me attending a freedom protest in Liverpool city centre. It was one that was replicated across various cities across the world on that day, and it marked a real critical juncture in the breakout from COVID totalitarianism. Note, I do just say COVID totalitarianism there, not totalitarianism. But this video is it's quite a positive one, and I'll tell you why. And then I'm going to counterpoint. I do like counterpoints, balance with a bit more, not negative, but a bit of a reality check for those of us who are, who have stood up and resisted the tyranny, who are aware of the tyranny, who are living, life through some good values, whatever you want to say, because there's another group of people still who are totally beholden to mainstream narratives. And it's sometimes easy, I think, for us to forget just how at the behest of the mainstream narratives, no matter what those mainstream narratives are, no matter how ridiculous they are, this group of people are, they're the kind of tend to be the middle class types that I've talked about before. So today's video is very, very positive. Tomorrow's a bit of a reality check. So why is it important to do this video today? Every now and again, I've done quite a lot of videos on this channel now over the last 2.5 years. Every now and again, I'll just take a little scroll back and just pick one at random. It's good to, watch my own journey, really. And also, it's very beneficial from the point of view of gaining perspective on just how far I've come and just how far we have come in the last few years, and certainly since I started doing these videos, I think in July 2022. Now, at the time I attended the protest in Liverpool, it wasn't long after the death of my dad. It was only a couple of months after the death of my dad from the Pfizer booster, which I will always make a point of reminding anyone who I speak to about, until the day when justice is served and the day that his death wasn't in vain. So it wasn't too long after that. And at that time, we were really reaching a critical point. If you can hear a squeak, it's the dog with a squeaky toy. Diamond, what's this? I'll give him that instead. Right, and yeah, a lot of us could feel it. I remember saying at the time that I thought England was going to be the first, not the UK, England was going to be the first domino to fall and roll back more or less completely the COVID tyranny. A tyranny which didn't ever properly get its teeth into society in England like it did in other countries near and far. And lo and behold, England was pretty much the first country across the world where the lockdown ended soonest. The jab mandates didn't properly get entrenched, and that was a result, I think, of the amazing work that had been done by so many people for such a prolonged period of time. And it wasn't long after the intervention by you'll remember it, the intensive care doctor, I can't remember his name now, where he challenged whichever psychopathic health secretary that what we had at the time was, Sajid Javid, was it? And that opened a lot of people's eyes. It kind of gave credence to what we were, us cranks and conspiracy theorists were saying. It was also around the time that Novak Djokovic, who's just won the Australian Open this year, what vindication, and symbolism behind that. But this time last year, when he wanted to compete in the Australian Open, he couldn't because he'd refused the jab. And again, I think that got a lot of people thinking. And then this protest came, and it was at a time when they were threatening the sack of the over 100,000 medical professionals in the NHS, and a lot of those staff were at that protest as well. And I remember feeling quite optimistic at the time because I could see that it was corrupt. I could see they weren't going to be able to, the government weren't going to be able to sack those doctors and nurses. A, it just didn't make any sense. But B, there just wasn't there was too much resistance, and that was borne out by what I could see at the protest. And what I'd seen certainly in the weeks before. And there are points in this journey against defeating totalitarianism, because that's what it is, where maybe it's like learning a new language, where I can speak a little bit of Spanish. I'm not fluent by any imagination, but a lot of people say learning a new language, you make rapid progress, and then you feel like you're not making any for a long period of time, and then bump, you make progress again. And I think it's similar for us. But the reason I'm doing this video is to look back and reflect on, let's remember that when it came to ending the lockdowns, ending the jab mandates and getting the message out there, ending the mask mandates and getting the message out there about the dangers of a certain medical procedure, we won that battle. Not totally. I don't believe there'll ever be another lockdown, certainly not in the name of a disease ever again. I can't see the masks coming back again. And fewer and fewer people every single day, as the message gets out there, are going for that black magic potion. And you know what that is. So why am I doing this? Well, because that was a huge achievement. If you remember where we were in 2020, in the early part of 2021, to the mid part of 2021, how few we were in number, how utterly demented the masses were. They were mind controlled. Their minds were under attack and were completely controlled by propaganda. And then their bodies. It was the first time ever in history that the state had invaded the minds and bodies of its citizens. How deluded they were, how demented they were, how utterly unhinged the world was. Now it still is in very, very many ways, but there's more sanity now on January the 31st, 2023, I believe, than this time last year. Certainly this time the year before and the year before that. When was peak insanity? Probably around about June, July 2020, something like that. But let's remember, the task that we had was unprecedented, to persuade people in our own unique way, through absolutely, relentless effort, that what they were being told was a lie, to persuade people through relentless effort and incessant endeavour that what they were being told to do was insane, to persuade people through relentless endeavour and incessant action that the threat that they were being told about was nowhere near as big as was being made out, and that the solutions to the mostly imagined threat were totally nonsensical, tyrannical and dangerous. We had the world against us, we had the machinery against us, we had a lot of our friends, family, neighbours and colleagues against us. And in the end they listened. And because enough people listened, enough, not everyone, and until very recently, not even a majority, albeit now we do have a majority, I can say categorically, a majority of people now know there's something wrong, and a far greater number of people are actively doing something about it, but still not enough. What a task that was, though, for a tiny minority to achieve that, to end the lockdowns, end the stupid mass testing, to end the mask mandate, to ensure the jab passports never got the teeth into society, and then eliminate them altogether. And to get the message out there sufficiently that more and more people, until a huge majority became sufficiently suspicious of the experimental medical procedure. Think about the magnitude of that task. because I sometimes, regularly, get very, very down about the scale of what we still have to face. Why I'm doing this video is because we won that battle in the end. Why can't we win every other battle? Explain that to me. Why not? Why can't we win the battle against climate lockdowns and 15-minute cities? You know? Why can't we win the battle against the indoctrination of children in schools? Why can't we win the battle against central bank digital currencies? You know? And why can't we win the battle for the minds of the masses over what's really going on in Russia and Ukraine? Or not what's really going on, but the lies that are being told about that and where ultimately those lies will take us. And we win battles. Actions speak louder than words. Words are very, very powerful. Words are hypnotic. They are. But in the end, as much as we talked, it was our actions. People saw, well, they saw that we weren't dying in great numbers, us unvaccinated lepers, didn't they? They saw that. Even if they logically they couldn't see it at first, they see it now. They saw how so many of us risked career or sanity, you know, risk relationships, sacrifice career and relationships, sometimes temporarily sanity for a lot of us, although I do think there's a curse really in when you realise how sane you are compared to the general insanity of the world. Actions speak louder than words, and the masses, the foolish masses, the naive masses and the cowardly masses, they saw it. In the end, they saw it. And they might not have joined us in terms of lending us their voice, but they joined us in terms of not complying. And non-compliance was the key. The key was disobedience and non-compliance. We've actually now moved on to another stage now where even that's not enough, and because the attacks are from all over. And if we genuinely do want to rebuild society as genuinely fairer, more sane, more centered around intellectual and moral and spiritual values, more connectedness, more community-based initiatives, conversation, all the things I talk about that I know a lot of people share. And if we do want to do that, then simple non-compliance isn't enough. We need to reimagine through different type of action and manifestation that better society. But I've done this video to remind everyone, especially if you're struggling, depressed, or just struggling to cope with whatever. Well, I think probably everyone's suffering from a degree of, at the very least, tiredness, psychological exhaustion, anxiety, depression, whatever it may be, trauma. Definitely. Probably every person in the world is, in some way. But certainly those of us who can, who have made a stand and have seen the full horror of not only what they have done, have orchestrated, the true, pure, utter evil of it, but how those around us not only went along with it, but continued their compliance even when they knew it was wrong. Very many of them still are doing that, despite me saying about we have a majority now. So the last couple of years has been an education, and I guess I have days where I see that education as something that I can really harness as a positive aspect of my life, and other days where it just overwhelms me. But I like to think, for me, sanity returns quickly if it ever goes away. But my strength and resolve, which sometimes I feel can be weakened, or always returns to me, which hopefully maybe says that at my core I'm a strong person, full of resolve and resilience. I like to think so. And it's when I just clear the air a little bit and just look back and think, well, hold on a minute, here's what we have achieved. This is what we have achieved, and it's massive. So there's no reason There's no reason at all, especially now when you add in the two extra massively important factors. Number one, greater numbers, and number two, momentum. All the momentum's with us. There's no reason we can't in the end push back against every other angle of attack as well, or most of them, you know, or a lot of them. So that's why I said that a win against COVID totalitarianism, not a win against totalitarianism. One battle has been mostly won now in this war, in this information war, this propaganda war, this war on our minds and bodies. That battle has been won, albeit with massive, heavy, tragic losses, such as the one I've experienced with my dad. But that says something about the inner strength that a lot of people at that real core of people have. And you know, let's remember as well, leadership, it's not all shouting, and it's not physical strength, it's leadership, as I've seen, leaders come in all shapes and sizes, all ages, cut across all different customs, religions, ages. Leaders are simply those who embody good values and are willing to display those values through their actions. Leaders are people who are not just all talk, but who through their action back up what it is they profess to believe in. You know, leaders take risks. Leaders are able to make sacrifices. Leaders are selfless. And leaders, I think, are empathetic. They're good listeners. And they are open-minded. And they have big hearts. So it's nothing to do with who can shout the loudest. It's certainly nothing to do with who can regurgitate the most information on Telegram groups, as I said yesterday. Leadership is, you'll know who the leaders are in your life. You'll know who they are. So that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow's, let me know what you think, in the comments down there. Let me know what you think. Tomorrow's video is a counterpoint to this, is, as I said at the start, we do still have, well, first of all, we have so many threats that are going to be thrown at us over the coming days, weeks, months and years. I want to ask you in the comments, see if you can guess, what 3 things am I going to talk about tomorrow? These are 3 predictions that I have for this year of how the media are going to conjure up 3 major stories to influence and distract the masses from the reality of the situation. So I'm going to tell you what my take on that is tomorrow, and my frustrations with that. And also as a reminder that do not underestimate how many people, despite everything I've said and all the positivity in this video, how many people, as I say, always, and not always, the majority, comfortably off, insular, narrow-minded, politicised middle classes. Do not underestimate how far they are down the rabbit hole of mainstream media narratives, and how they will believe anything that they are told. So tell me in the comments before I do the video tomorrow, or whenever I do it, I'll try and do it the next couple of days. What 3 major narratives are the media going to spin this year to try to inflame tensions? I'll give you some clues: inflame tensions, create fear, and just lie on a monumental scale. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you very soon. Okay, bye-bye.